This is section 5 talking about fungi. So some special features of fungi, they're heterotrophs, which means that they have to get their energy from other things that they eat. And many of them are considered decomposers, so they're going to help return some nutrients back into the soil as they break down and help decay some matter laying on the ground. They have a cell wall, which does make them like a plant, although the cell wall is built just a little bit differently. And they're multicelled, and they have a nucleus, so they're a eukaryote. So some symbiotic relationships can occur with fungi and other organisms. First example would be between fungi and plants. Fungi can grow around the roots of the plants, and this would definitely be a symbiotic relationship. The plant gives sugar or glucose to the fungus, and then that fungus is helping give minerals and water back to the plant. So just kind of lives around the roots of it. This is called mycorrhizal symbiosis. Another example would be between fungi and bacteria. What we call lichen is actually a combination of fungi and bacteria together. And it can grow on like barren rock and actually help break down the rock to help make soil. So in turn, though, they're providing nutrients to each other. So again, a nice symbiotic relationship. Another example is between fungi and insects. The termites, which is a type of bug, actually has to eat fungus to help them digest the cellulose, which is found in that cell wall of wood, so in lots of plant matter. And then another example here would be between fungi and humans. In the case of ringworm and athlete's foot, these are both parasitic relationships. So ringworm, the fungus kind of grows under the skin and feeds off of the nutrients from the human, and the same thing with the athlete's foot. So kind of that parasitic type. So here's what they look like. They use kind of a underground thread-like structure called hyphae. And the hyphae can actually interconnect to form another structure called mycelium. And mycelium is usually what you see like when you look at mold growing on a piece of bread or kind of above ground. It's almost like an interwoven network of threads. It kind of keeps it all connected. They also use something called a fruiting body. And this is how they do sexual reproduction. That fruiting body is going to stick up and off of the rest of the structure. Usually on the end it'll have a little spore. The spore will get carried away then and help fertilize another female type version of the plant. So example of this would be mushrooms. That mushroom part that's actually sticking up out of the ground, that's the fruiting body portion. So what makes them different from plants? They're heterotrophs. Plants are autotrophs. Also that cell wall, like we said, in a fungus, it's made of chitin, and in a plant, it's made of cellulose. So chitin is just a little bit different. It's a material that actually can build exoskeletons, like on this beetle up here. So it's just not quite as rigid as cellulose. They're a little bit more flexible, which is why fungi are kind of softer and squishier. They also do not have a good vascular system, meaning they don't have a good way to carry water and sugar from their hyphae system, their underground system, up to the rest of the fruiting body portion. So what that means is they usually have to kind of grow and live in pretty moist environments. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to get the nutrients in the water that they need to survive. Plants, they can grow in pretty arid conditions because they can get that water straight out of the ground and save it within their tubes for quite a while. And then obviously plants use roots, and fungi use this hyphae system. So lots of importance for fungi. We use them in food production. So yeast is an example. We use yeast to make bread. That's probably the most common one, to help the bread rise. We also use it in ethanol, which is for more commonly being used in cars now as a fuel source, and then in the production of beer and wine. Edible fungi that we like to eat are mushrooms, although not all are edible. Some are kind of poisonous, but there are some very delicious edible ones out there as well. And then blue cheese is a fungus as well. So the blue part is the fungus part, and it takes on kind of a distinct taste as well. But some people really love blue cheese dressing and blue cheese crumbles, and they just put that on everything. And then we talked about this in the last chapter. but, or excuse me, in the last set of slides, antibiotics are also a fungus. So we use that to make kind of the number one antibiotic, which is penicillin. It's used to kind of cure all sorts of different type of bacterial infections that can happen in the human body. And that is it for this section.